When I was in the Premier League, my number was 17. You know who number 17 is now for us? Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
He's taken my number. I played 330 odd games, scored 57 goals, and Ipswich Town paid Bury Town £5,000 for me.
Yeah.
Right? Do not waste a minute. The experts that you've got who are there to help you.
Yeah. Simon, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I'm really excited to hear about FutureStars, the amazing work you're doing. We'll get straight in, buddy. Going to take it right back. Obviously, your Bury days, leaving Bury, coming to Ipswich. So when did you start playing? And tell us a little bit about your position, what you brought to the team, both on the pitch and off it.
I wanted to be a footballer, you know, from becoming 12, 13, 14. And in some ways, I completely missed the boat. I didn't get associated with a pro club. So what I did was I played the highest level of non-league football I could, you know, every year. And I played in a team in Thetford called Thetford Lads. And they were a really good team. And I worked my way right the way through. And from there, I went to play for a non-league team called Thetford Rovers. I spent a year there. And then I went to a club called Thetford Town. And then from Thetford Town, I moved to Bury Town. And Bury Town were one of the best non-league teams in the area at that time. And I'm in my early 20s. And then at 23 years old, Bobby Ferguson, who was the current manager at Ipswich at the time, him and Charlie Woods came down to Bury Town, watched me 2 or 3 times, and then offered me a year's contract I was 23 years old. So it was a life-changing contract, you know, and I came into the club at that time, and you got people like Jason Dezelle and Chris Kiwomia, who were really close mates of mine, but I'm like 4 or 5 years older than them, you know, but I had some catching up to do. But for me, chance of a lifetime, you know, I'm not going to not make the most of this. I absolutely loved it. You know, you get an opportunity and you got to make sure you take it. So definitely came into the game late, but, you know, ended up playing, you know, right up until I was 35 here at this football club and had some special memories.
I bet. Yeah, I can certainly remember some of them memories. We spoke about earlier about pitch invasion I did at 13 years old, 1992. Great days, great days. And it's good to see, obviously, a club back where...
absolutely. You know, these are moments in time. And at the moment, this club is going through some brilliant moments in time. And you can play all your career and have a really good career and never win anything.
Yeah.
So when you get the chance to win something, and for me, it was promotion to the Premier League in 1992 under John Lyall with a group of teammates, but proper mates.
Yeah.
And, you know, we achieved that, and we played in the Premier League for 3 years after that. So, you know, these are special moments that you never, ever forget. And the way that social media is now, everybody's really interested in the history, and there's posts that come out on a regular basis of things that the club have achieved. And as I said, they're great memories, and my teammates for that time are friends for life.
Yeah, perfect, mate. Let's go on to the charity, which is what we really want to kind of get into. Do you want to go on? We've already mentioned it. Go on, but what the charity is called?
Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll go into it a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's called the FutureStars charity, but it started as the FutureStars project. So an Ipswich Town fan contacted me and said that he'd like to become an academy sponsor here. And I was running the commercial side of the academy at that time, all the sales, and I set up a department to raise money for the academy. And he sent me a message out of the blue saying, I'd really like to put some money into the Ipswich Town Academy, but in return, I'd like you to help me set up a project where my core business is in Ghana. So it's not something you get every day.
Yeah.
But I'd been to Ghana before, loved the country. So I replied and said, listen, this sounds amazing. Why don't you come and meet me at the training ground? And his name is Gary Miller, and I'll speak more about him later. But we came to the training ground. He was interested he sponsored one of the 17s or the 18s for the academy. And I got the opportunity to go to Africa with him, go to Ghana, fly with him, meet his staff. He owns a shipping agency. And what he wanted me to design for him was a project that gave something back to the local community. So a CSR project, corporate social responsibility. So I went there first time, got introduced to some people, got introduced to a guy called Emmanuel Tete, and he's still with me now. And that was 10 years ago. That was 2015. So within a year, we'd set the project up. So we employed 2 coaches out there. We got all the bibs, balls, cones and everything. And what we were doing, we identified that the schools that we looked at and we wanted to work with had no PE teachers. So PE was on their curriculum, but it was almost like 11 till 12, PE, open the door, let them out.
Tick box.
Yeah. And let them in.
Yeah.
You know, so all of a sudden we've got balls, bibs, cones, we bought goals. And so now it was, you know, it was fantastic because we were supporting with sport, not just football, sport, PE. And then we started doing preschool clubs and after school clubs. And the reason we did that was in the UK, if your child doesn't go to school, you get, as a parent, you get a letter and it's why. That doesn't happen in Ghana. So attendance in Ghana is a bit wishy-washy.
Okay.
So we now set up these preschool and after school clubs, but if you don't go to school, you can't come. So the football and the netball and the basketball and all the sports that we do has become the carrot to get the kids to school. So attendance is improved because if you don't come to school, you can't train with us. So that's how it started. And that was it from 2015 to 2017. I went back again in 2016 and we had 5 schools. All of a sudden, we're now working with, you know, around 3,000 kids. And I'm still working for the club at this time, full time. But late 2016, I sat down again with Gary Miller and said to him, look, you know, how far, where do you want this to go? I said, because it's, you know, what we're doing is amazing. So, but I think there's an opportunity here to turn the project into a charity, which makes it more compliant. So early in 2017, he offered me a job. And he said, I'm offering you a job. I don't know how it's going to work. I also know that this is your 30th year at Ipswich Town. So I joined in 87. This was 2017. And so it was a massive decision. And part of me was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And part of him was going, I don't even know what I'm asking you. But in 2017, this club was not the club it is now. Yeah. And I'd been really, really frustrated for a few years towards the end of that time because I felt the club was drifting. And as you know, you've been in football, you never stand still.
Yeah.
You're either going forward or you're going backwards. And we were going backwards. We sit down and then I really started to think about whether or not I would leave this football club and do something that I equally loved. But this is my life, you know.
And all you'd known since you were 22.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but there was something pulling me to sort of, you know, say, I think we can do this. I think we can do this. So, you know, I ended up handing in my notice. I left at the end of that season, 2017 season. Mick McCarthy was the manager at the time. Marcus Evans was the owner, you know, and I resigned to do something. Now, a lot of people that I knew were, so you're leaving Ipswich Town to go to set up a charity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are you mad?
But the thing is as well with that as well is football, especially for so long, becomes your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And to come out of that, most people are forced into that. If you're lucky enough to have something still involved in football when you retire from playing, it's a bonus. And it's kind of like everyone, when they come towards the end of their career, is like, fine, I'll go into coaching, I'll go into manager, I'll go into something, because that is all you know, it keeps you involved. Yeah. To then have that opportunity to come away from that and potentially walk into something, was that, did you see that as a risk or did you see that more as a excitement and? Yeah,
more excitement than a risk. I mean, the transition from playing to non-playing is a difficult one for anyone. Okay, no matter what you do, because even if you've got, you know, the money that players have got now, you need a purpose. Yeah. Right? You need something that gets you up in the morning, something that motivates you, something you get your teeth into. And you've got to decide what that is, because you can't play golf every day. Yeah. You can't just do nothing every day.
I'll give it a good go.
I mean? Yeah. If I could get paid to play golf, I'm not that good. But the transition, now my transition from on the field to off the field was like seamless.
Yeah.
And because of one person, David Sheepshanks. So David Sheepshanks was the chairman at that time. When I joined the club in 1987, David Sheepshanks joined the board as a young director. And we met on this pitch on photo call day, right? So we're having our photographs taken, me in a kit, him in a suit. He introduced himself. Fast forward, I'm now at the end of my career. George Burley is the manager. He says, we're not going to be offering you a playing contract. But before you do anything, the chairman wants to see you. So I went to see David. And he said, I don't want you to leave. He said, listen, you can maybe go and get a year at Colchester or Cambridge, you know, which people have done. He said, or I want to create a role for you because I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay in this football club. And I wanted to work for people that I look up to. He became he was my off-field mentor, my first one.
Yeah.
And for the next sort of, 5 or 10 years, I worked so closely. He was pushing me here, there and everywhere. And so my transition was good. But then to get to a point and then completely change, because like you said, it was I could have worked it for life.
Yeah.
But I wasn't happy. So I took it. So I took the job in 2017. I set the charity up, turned it into a charity. It took about a year and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Setting it up, getting it all right about what we're going to do. It's called the FutureStars charity. Now in Ghana, the Ghanaian national team, their nickname is the Black Stars. So everything in Ghana is stars.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why we chose FutureStars charity. And as I said, Emmanuel, who set it up with me, is my country manager in Ghana now. He's been with us running it full time for us since I joined. But he was a project manager when I first got involved at 2015. So we've been doing this together, and obviously I travel far more than him and we've seen it grow now. We got 6 staff, we do the most amazing things, but some of the things that we do now, I never had any idea that I would be doing that type of thing. I'm just thinking, let's use sport to get more kids into education. So if you ask me what our mission is to get more kids educated who can't afford to go to school. And the school fees at this level we're talking about are tiny, absolutely tiny. So that's where we step in. And now it's grown now. We are now funding kids to get to school. We fund their shoes, we fund their uniforms, we fund their food, we fund their transport, we fund their books. And now we're seeing children that are coming to school who wouldn't come to school.
On that, you talk about the funding of the shoes. Do you want to talk us through these amazing footwear?
Yeah. These are so cute. These are my favourite. But I work with a company who've been out to Ghana twice now, and they always want to leave a legacy. They've done lots of work with our school. And there's this one particular school. It's got about 450 to 500 pupils now. And that's where we do the most work, because these are the most underprivileged kids from the poorest communities. And one of the things I talked about with the company is shoes, because when they come out, you've got a child over there in a pair of flip-flops, you've got a pair of old trainers, then you've got to put school shoes, then you've got a kid in boots. Anything they can wear, they wear. So they wanted to do something with shoes. So I contacted Emmanuel, who I've spoke about, and said, I want you to go and find a Ghanaian company that makes shoes. And so there's recycling companies, and if you can find somewhere where they recycle plastic and make shoes, that's the one. Anyway, he did. And our staff. So they came up, and this company is called the World Shoe Company, and they're based in Ghana, and these shoes come from recycled plastic. It's absolutely ridiculous. It just fell in place. Yeah. And now the company I'm talking about, the Trust Alliance Group up in Warrington, bought 500 pairs of these shoes in black, and now every kid in the school wears the same shoes. They're one of our major partners, and these are amazing. I love them.
Great idea. Love it. So in many ways, running a successful charity requires similar skills to running a business. What are some of the key transferable skills you found from your football career that have helped you in the new venture?
Do you know what? What you don't realise is how transferable your skills are. When you're playing football and you come out of football, you don't realise what the skills that you've learned, the teamwork, the managing people, dealing with ups and downs. You don't realise how important that is to you in later life. at the time. So my transition, obviously, I was running the commercial side of the academy, so I was raising money all the time, and we're using that money to, to fund tours, to fund trips, to pay for expenses of the academy at that time. So I had a much better understanding of business. And then the charity is exactly the same as running a business, but probably audited more than a business, because we do our management accounts at the end of every year. That management accounts goes to the UK Charity Commission. So they check everything that you said you were doing, you are doing.
Yeah.
And the money that you're bringing in, you're spending. We have 6 staff now. So we got salaries for 6 staff. We got 3 vehicles that we fund. We got insurances. We've got a stadium where we hire an area inside the stadium that we use. There's only one AstroTurf stadium in Tema where we use that. And it's probably the oldest AstroTurf pitch you've ever seen. But for the kids who play on it, it's
Wembley.
golden.
Yeah.
Because they're used to playing on sort of dirt pitches. So running it as a business, is vitally important. I'm not employed by the charity. I'm the charity director. We've got a board of trustees here in the UK. We've got trustees in Ghana as well. We've got the chairman, and we have our trustee meetings normally here. Because when you're pitching to other companies now to get involved, what we'd like you to do is help us support these children. And it's growing. It's just, people are coming to us now because they like what we do. That, for some companies, they come to us and say, if we come to you and we put money into your charity, can we be a part of your project? And that will help. So of course you can.
So you say about, obviously, the growth and the people coming in, the business out there coming into it. You've now got 3,000 kids you're looking.
Yeah.
How many was it when you started? So and what is it? Is now at 3,000. Is there a growth that you're hoping on?
We often talk about this. We've probably got 3,000. We've got 5 schools that we support in Tema. Now, these are government schools. And Tema and Accra's the capital. Tema is 20 miles away. 20 kilometres away. And in Tema, we work with 5 government schools. So I've got 2 coaches, and they go to a school a day. Every day they move, okay? But the school in Accra is non-government school, so it gets no government funding. So that's where we come in, and some other organisations. So we fund the teachers' salaries, we fund the food. So we support this school much more because it gets no government funding. Yeah. So that's our reach in total, but we do spend a lot more money and a lot more time in the most underprivileged school. But what we're not going to do is leave any of them schools. But what we can't do is just try and go, right, we need 10 schools, 20 schools, 30 schools, because you're sort of diluting. Yeah. And we're not the government, we're helping, we're doing our bit, basically. So the more companies that get involved, the more we can do at the particular schools. We've done refurbishment projects. We built some toilets. At the time, there was about 320 children, and the school had 3 toilets. Boys, girls, staff, that was it. And they were outside, and they were horrific. So one of the things we fundraised for, we built a toilet block with staff toilets, 8 boys, 8 girls. And when you decide what you're going to do, you're also measuring what their impact is. So my impact in my mind was, well, the boys can go to toilet and the girls can go to toilet. But what it did was, especially for the girls, it opened up the opportunity for them to have a lockable door and privacy when they were coming into their menstrual cycle. Yeah. Now, if someone would have said that to me at the start, I just thought it was a toilet. Yeah. And over in Ghana, when they come to that age, they just don't go to school because they haven't got the stuff. So now we've got toilets everywhere and we've got sanitary towels. Just can't afford them. Yeah. And they will just not come to school. So I remember me and Titus sitting down, having conversations with another organisation, because we're good at what we do but we're certainly not experts in that. And so there's another charity we work with called Inspire to Rise, and we put together this project called the Periods of Change. And so now we work with them. So now in our office in the school, there's a stock of stuff that volunteers bring out all the time. And you're always sort of making sure you're looking after everyone. Even my staff, we put them through, like, our youngest member of staff, I met when he was 12. He's now 20. He works for us. So now we put him
And he was one of the pupils?
One of the pupils at our school. We put him through his driving test, put him through his coaching qualifications. He's now doing other qualifications. So you're developing these guys as well. Do you know what I mean? I'm always saying to the corporates who are supporting us, come out. Just come out.
Don't you ever get a real kind of idea of what it's like?
Yeah.
You look at pictures, you can watch videos, and they all seem so happy.
And sometimes you forget it's an absolute privilege to be born in this country.
Because that's something you don't get a choice.
No.
That's something you can't choose,
Exactly. And then, like you said, these kids, but school in Ghana is their sanctuary, right? Their school is nicer than their house.
Yeah.
Their school is cleaner than their house. Their school is bigger. They learn at school. They make friends at school. So all of the things, they get fed better at school. And when they turn up, I've been to some of the parents' houses of the children that we are on our scholarship scheme. And when you go in their house, you cannot believe that this child comes to school every day looking so good.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? And it just really brings it home to you.
Becomes their escape.
Yeah. But they love it. When the bell goes, they don't want to go home.
Yeah.
Whereas our schools, the bell goes, they're gone. They're already
You're packed up 10 minutes early. Yeah, of course you are.
So I've learned that. But from what it does, you feel absolutely blessed to be able to do this and be involved in it.
So you see your passion clearly for it. Everything's going well at the moment. You see a path for it. Initially, when you set it up, couldn't have been too easy. So what were the initial challenges and how did you overcome those challenges?
Yeah, initial challenges in this country, setting up the charity, is just money.
Yeah.
You know, you go to, you've got to set out properly. You've got to say what your values are, say what your goals are, say what your mission is, and get everything in place. And you need help. You've got solicitors. And so that was the biggest challenge, was how much it was going to cost. Because we could have just kept it as a project.
Yeah.
Right? But if you just keep it as a project, it's not the same. So rather than it be a project, it's a charity funded by lots and lots of different people. So that was the first thing. And then when you get out into Ghana, when I organise things, I just want it to happen immediately. That doesn't happen in Africa.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just,
laid back?
Oh my God, they're so laid back. Yeah, they get things done, but they get things done in their own time. Yeah. And we call it GMT time. Is Ghana maybe time. They may be here on time, they may be not. And their meetings. But now, after going out there all the time, I can't wait to get back out there. And we work heavily with the British High Commission. The British High Commission are there to support British companies coming into Ghana to do business, any help that you need. But they're also there to help charities. And they've been really supportive. They've been introducing us to lots of people. And it's our 10th year anniversary of the project in October this year. And we're having a party. The charity is 7 years old, but the project is 10 years old. So I sat down with the British High Commissioner and the deputy and said to them that we've got this 10-year anniversary and wondering whether you'd like to support us and what we can do, because they've got like a social club. Yeah. Where they've got a gym and a tennis court, and it's a really good room and area. And I was thinking we can have our 10th year anniversary party there. And the British High Commissioner, who's Harriet Thompson, said, yes, of course you can, but I'm not sure that's good enough. So she said, why don't you have it here? So her residence is owned by the British government. Wow. So it's the British High Commissioner's residence, which they've given us the residence to have our party, which is just ridiculous support.
But is that not a compliment to
definitely
how the charity is now seen?
She said that. And we're going to have 350 people celebrating. So we've got all entertainment planned, but also all the kids are coming. Loads of kids will be performing on the stage. We'll be showing shoes and things like this and showing all the things that we've done, plus all the things that people can get involved in. So we're going to use it as a fundraiser as well. So I'm currently speaking to a lot of my UK sort of donors and partners saying, come to Ghana, because this will be so special. Yeah. Come and see the school, come and see come to the party and come and meet everyone. And that is And that is testament. And if someone would have said, you're where you are now, when we first started talking about, getting a couple of balls out and some cones and doing a bit of coaching.
Never believe it.
It's miles from that.
So obviously within football, the teamwork, building that team around you, having almost to get on with your teammates as well, doesn't always happen. You being here for 90% of the year, trying to run something all those miles away, you have to build a team out there that you trust as well. How does the teamwork in football, how is that similar to what you've had to build within the charity?
It's massive. And also when you think about the people that have been sort of big people in your life, managers, coaches, players, do you know what I mean? And then, like I said, David Sheepshanks, and it helps me now manage my team. And my main guy, Emmanuel, every time I'm over there, we spend, and if I go over there 6 times a year for 2 weeks, that's 3 months.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's a long period of time, and we do everything together. But what I like about the way that he works, he's a smart guy anyway. But there's always things going on. It's Africa.
Yeah.
The car's broken down. There's always something. And then other things, we're changing the coaching program. We're doing all this stuff. And I say, I'm always like, I go back to him and I go, right, I'll have a think about it. But at the same time, what do you think the solution is? And let him go away and do it. Let him go away and think about it.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned. I remember sitting with John Lau as my manager when we got promoted. You go and sit down with him, he'd have a conversation. And he would put you on the spot. We start talking about midfield, you start talking about playing on the right. And he goes, well, what do you think? And if you don't say anything, so I learned from people like that. My first PE teacher, so from 12 to 16, I'm in a school in Thetford, and my PE teacher, to me, is God.
Yeah.
Right? He's unbelievable. His name's Martin Hills. He was unbelievable, not just to me, to everyone in our team over those years. So important. This year, he's a Man United fan. This year, he's my guest in the director's box for the Man United game, because I'll never forget what he did. And he's sitting next to Alan Brazil, who's Ipswich and Man United as well.
God, yeah.
He's taking he's in his 70s now, but he's had the day of his life. So I was able to say to him, this is, I'll never forget you. So put it into a business and what you learn, and I think you need to be a good judge of people. Sometimes you need to be strong. You need to, tell it how it is now and again. But I go out and running my staff. I love my staff. We go out, we have the best time. We always look after them while I'm there. And we always have a meeting and we're talking about, right, come on, what's new? What do we need to know? What are we looking at? Give me some ideas. Or particular people that need special help. And we always look at that. So I certainly don't, I speak to Emmanuel probably every 2 days. But I don't need to manage him. He manages
the trust level. Yeah.
It's complete trust.
Yeah.
If I didn't trust him and I'm trying to run something 3,000 miles away, then I'm struggling. But I trust him, and I can't wait to go back.
As you had to with your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely.
On a Saturday, yeah.
And it's respect as well. You respect the coaches and managers. And that was one thing that, Mark Ashton, when I first was introduced and first met him, he wanted to make sure that the former players were properly engaged. There's former players going to the Senior Blues Cafe. They're going to the Dementia Cafes. They're representing the club on a match day, going around to areas like this and meeting and greeting, doing the tours.
Of course, because the supporters probably the most important people within a club as well. And the thing with the former players as well, the supporters aren't just 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old. You're looking at your 50, 60, 70, 80, 90-year-old, 100-year-olds that have been coming for years to come and see the former players.
It's important. That's the type of club that we are with our foundation.
Yeah.
Which was in 2017 when I left, we didn't have a community trust. We didn't have a foundation. That's how far we dropped. So now the foundation, fastest growing department, doing so much great work with the players now. They understand that this club. It's a community club.
Yeah,
we haven't got loads and loads of clubs around.
Because you see the pictures and everything on social media about the players turning up on a Tuesday night, Thursday night, whenever it might be, out here with the foundation and doing the dementia cafes. And, you know, it's great. It's great, especially me being from Ipswich as well, seeing the club growing in every aspect. You know, it's great to see.
The media team, Marcus, last year, Marcus Nash called me and said, look, we've got a letter, we've had a request for a guy, and he's 100 years old, and the grandson had phoned in and said, or written in saying, could we send a card? And so Marcus said to me, listen, we've got to do more than that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's like 100 years old, big Ipswich Town fan forever. I said, what about, let me phone Roger Osborne, right? Because the son had put in his email, his best day in the world was the FA Cup final. So I said, I'm going to phone Roger Osborne, see if Roger's about. So anyway, I phoned Roger. I said, Roger, we got this guy. He's 100 years old on his birthday. Me and you, let's go and surprise him at his house. Roger's gone, yeah, of course, no problem. So I've told Marcus. Marcus gone, really? So we've got cameras anyway. So he's told the son. So we turn up and we sat down with him. It was lovely and his family. We had a cup of tea and everything. And so we, you know, this is the type of thing that we should be doing as a club, and we do. And it was amazing. And then the guy, we started talking about the cup final, and he said to Roger, he said, have you still got your medal like this? And we had no idea. Roger went, funny you should say that.
He took it with him.
He brought it with him.
Did he really?
This guy, oh my God, honestly, these are moments again.
I mean, for any football fan to hold and feel an FA Cup winner's medal is
he's a goal scorer.
amazing.
I always say to Roger, you are the only man in the world who scored the winning goal in the FA Cup final for this club.
Yeah.
So, but that day made that day so special for that guy and his family.
Of course it did.
And they're the types of things that we can do.
Brilliant. How did your experiences with fans and the community during your football career influence your desire to give back through your charity?
Fans are funny. Let's be fair. You know, I was when 1992, when you run on that pitch as a 13-year-old, and I'm getting carried off the pitch with Dazelle and Kiwomia and Stockwell, and you know, and John Lyle is manager of the year, and we're getting promoted to the Premier League. It is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. So that's a high. Yeah. 3 years later, when we're getting relegated from the Premier League, you know, and the stadium's half empty, and you know, it's not the same. Yeah. So you've got to take the rough with the smooth. Do you know what I mean? Which is really strange now, because we've just managed to keep everybody on board here at this football club now, even though we're getting relegated. Yeah. It's unbelievable, because they knew where we were, so they know we're on a journey. Yeah. And so far, we've had so much success. And now, it would only be failure if you give up. Yeah. Yeah? They're not going to give up. They're going to go again. Course. So this is a setback. It's not a massive failure. Yeah. We've gone into the hardest league in the world and come up short.
And getting harder.
And we go again. But the fans have played their part. The fans were coming here, 30,000 in Division 1. Yeah. Then the Championship, and now the Premier League. And next year there'll be 30,000 here again, because they've got a club and a team to be proud of. They love the manager. They love the ownership. They love what we stand for. So they've stayed with us. Now, that won't be the same at Leicester and at Southampton, because they don't believe in where they're going. So the fans, and also what you learn from, you're always meeting fans, and you never know. You go somewhere quiet and you go and order a pint in the bar, and the guy's a season ticket holder. You don't know. They're everywhere. Yeah,
abroad. What I mean? You've probably had it abroad, haven't you, when you've gone away?
So you're dealing with people all the time, and sharing their stories. Because, you know, that moment for me, there's probably 20, the stadium at the time was 22,000. Yeah. So there's 22,000 people like you who've got a memory of that day. Yeah. I happen to be on there, but everyone's got that memory. Of course they have. And so they want to come and tell you their memory. It's lovely to meet new people. And some people you meet and they know as much about the history of the club as you do, which is great. And some people have never heard of anyone who weren't here in the last 5 years. No. So but you know, it's great.
And it is a special club.
And it's more than football. Yeah. Right? Football is one thing, but it's the culture that the club has set up. But they've got the football right. but they've got the off-field right. They've got the foundation right. They've got the stadium right. You know, you've seen the transition and everything, and just being a part of it. When I was in the Premier League, my number was 17, right? That was my number. In my 3 years in the Premier League, I was number 17. You know who number 17 is now for us? Ed Sheeran. Yeah. He's taken my number. But how lucky are we?
Yeah.
All right? How lucky are we to have Ed Sheeran as a fan of this football club and enjoy every minute. We've all seen the videos of him celebrating with the lads. You know, it's unbelievable that we've got that association with someone who is also on our journey. Yeah. He's on our journey with us.
So, yeah. Totally agree. It's amazing. Takes us on to the last question. Knowing what you do now, both from your football career and running the charity, what advice would you give to your younger self just starting out in professional football?
Oh my God. That's a really good question. See, because I came into the game late, I was 23 years old. So I was mature enough to appreciate how lucky I'd been to get this opportunity that late.
Which you're not at 16.
It's not 16. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So when I came here, it wasn't like I had to. I don't look back and go, I should have worked a bit harder at 23. I couldn't have worked any harder. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because I had this late opportunity. I was playing for Bury Town. I signed a 1-year contract at Ipswich Town. My last game at Bury, there was 300 people there. I was sub for the first game of the season. There's probably 15, 16,000 there. And I'm sub and I'm sitting on the bench. Yeah. Going, what? Yeah. But also, I ain't leaving here. Yeah. What am I going to do? You know, and I went on loan a couple of times. I went down to Exeter. Yeah. I went to Torquay and then finally earned my place in the team. Got to the end of that season after my 1-year contract and thought in my mind, I've done everything in my power to, you know, toe the line, get myself fit, listen, learn and do it. And then got another contract. And then got another contract and then got another, you know, and then it ended up, you know.
So it's the hard work.
It was hard work. Yeah. So if I was advising my younger self or any younger person, if you think you're working hard, think again.
It's always someone working harder.
Exactly. Yeah. You can find that time. Yeah. Like if we were talking to a group of our players right now, all of our players, I would be telling them, do not waste a minute with the experts that you've got who are there to help you. Yeah. Because Kieran and his team of experts are only here for you guys. So go and ask those questions. Go and do a bit extra. Go and, you know, sit with the analysts now, don't they? Yeah. And saying, look, you maybe should have been there or you should have been there. Go and learn and just put everything into everything you can and have as long a career as you possibly can. And then
no regrets.
You've got no regrets.
No regrets.
You don't look back and go, I wish if only. When you think about all of those lessons that you've sort of learned, but I don't look back and think I could, you know, I don't ask myself the question, could I have worked any harder? I did everything. And we've just signed 2 lads. We've signed 2 17, 18-year-old lads from non-league football. Yeah,
what an opportunity.
Right? Yeah. So what an opportunity for them. Now, Charlie reminded me, I was 23 years old in 1987 and Ipswich Town paid Bury Town £5,000 for me. Yeah. Right? So Charlie goes, we got him $5,000. Do you know what I mean? And I played 330 odd games, scored 56, 57 goals, was promoted in the Premier League. Yeah. So if someone would have given me that, do you know what I mean? And so talk about making it. Yeah, absolutely. And enjoyed every minute. And then he then got offered the opportunity to stay longer because of, you know, I'd had my testimonial year at the end of that time and the way that David Sheepshank said, the way that I'd conducted myself on and off the pitch throughout that period, I want you to stay. And
led to your next 20 years.
Yeah. You know, and so I've loved every single minute of it. And this football club is part of me, massively part of me, and always will be.
Brilliant, mate.
That's all right.
Appreciate it, mate.
Brilliant.
Cheers,
I loved it.